Tomorrow, your daily life may become more expensive again, not because your salary has changed, not because you started to spend more money on Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Birkin, but because of decisions made far away from you. And the problem is, most people do not even see these connections. Today, we're going to talk about real global events that are already affecting your money. A truth serum injection used during questioning in Europe. Bank money stopped during transport. A global oil route that is almost blocked, and the drifting fuel tanker near shores of Europe, and political decisions, of course, that are already increasing energy prices. Subscribe to Blondyware. Here I explain how it looks like in a very simple, regular way for everyone and how it impacts your bank account. Imagine being given an injection during questioning that makes you a person more open, more relaxed, and more likely to speak. This is exactly what was reported in a recent case in Hungary. According to the reports, one of the Ukrainian citizens detained there received such an injection during questioning. It was described as something similar to a truth serum. In this case, it caused serious health problems and even loss of consciousness. Now, let's look at what actually happened. At the beginning of March, Ukrainian bank vehicle from Oshad Bank were stopped in Hungary. They were transporting foreign currency and bank metals as part of an official international agreement with an Austrian bank that was actually an Austrian bank. Everything was legal and documented. 7 employees were inside this vehicle. After stop, there was no contact with them at all. Their location became unknown. They were held for more than 24 hours. Now think about this carefully. Legal money, transport between countries was stopped. People were isolated. Pressure was applied during questioning. What does this mean for you? This is about trust in the financial system. If international transport of money becomes risky or uncertain, banks become more careful. Transactions take longer and services become more expensive. And in the end, this affects your money directly. Orban consistently tries to make Ukraine in the eyes of the world like something crazy, illegal, like there is nothing to do with Ukraine, and Orban would never do it to Russia. Orban thinks that Ukrainian war is the war for Ukraine only, not for Europe, so Orban puts his veto on all of the decision to help Ukraine and stuff like that. And this situation was stopping bank transport in Hungary actually going to the other country, to Austria, to Austrian bank. Everything was legal that way. Is a showcase for us that Orban and Hungary, I don't really know if all Hungarians support Orban, but let's say Hungary, they try to do something with Ukraine to make it lower, to make the impact different, to make it the way that, no, it's not European country and we would not pay money, we would not help people, nothing. One feels that if he shows Ukraine in an illegal, corruptional, weird way, Europe would deny helping Ukraine. But this is not true. Europe clearly understands that the war in Ukraine is the war for whole Europe in the future. So it's much better to help Ukraine right now Orban would never love Ukraine because Orban still buys discounted oil from Russia. Orban gets his own profit from it, and here I'll explain what's happening in Hungary relating to oil and gas prices. Cheap oil does not always mean cheap life. Hungary continues to buy discounted oil from Russia, but fuel prices inside the country are still higher than in neighboring countries, for example. So where does the difference go? The answer is simple: into profits of large energy companies. The system looks like this: cheap oil, high selling prices, profit. And this profit can increase economic and political influence. Now, think bigger. Energy decisions in one country can affect prices in other countries because everything in the global market is connected. And when energy becomes more expensive, everything else becomes more expensive too. Hungarian people should truly think about Orban's position. It seems it's time to remove him from the political stage. I don't think Orban leads Hungary to a wealthy future. It's time to change the dictator. Hungary, let's think about it a bit. And as everything in this world is connected, forget Orban, let's talk about what's happening right now in the Middle East. You have to be up to all the news to understand if you are able to buy some bread next morning, literally. Very soon, fuel and even food may cost more, and one of the main reasons is a very important place in the world, the Strait of Hormuz. About 20% of global oil passes through the narrow route. Right now, the route is almost not used, not because it's officially closed, but because it is too risky. Ships avoid this area. Insurance becomes more expensive and companies prefer to wait or change the routes. Shipping companies are already reacting. Prices are increasing. Extra fees are added. And some routes are stopped. Around 60 ships are currently waiting. What does this mean to you? Transport becomes more expensive, products become more expensive too, and your daily life become more expensive. And there is only one important point: gas supply is under pressure. If the situation continues, countries will compete for limited energy, and competition usually leads to higher prices. Energy is no longer just about fuel, it's now a part of global conflict. Israel attacks Iran's South Pars gas field, one of the largest natural gas fields in the world. After that, Iran responded with strikes on energy targets in the Gulf, including a major gas complex in Qatar. These actions led to a rise in energy prices. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, said that Israel acted alone in this attack. Donald Trump didn't know anything about it. At the same time, energy infrastructure has become a key target in the region. When energy systems are attacked, it affects global supply. And when supply is affected, prices go up. Qatar also reported that the part of its production may be affected, and this is very important because a large share of global liquefied gas passes through this region. If supply decreases, countries will compete for energy, and this leads to higher prices worldwide. This is how regional conflict become global economic problems. Donald Trump didn't know anything about the attack of Israel to Iran gas field. Of course he knew, of course he agreed everything, because everything happening on the Middle East is something impacts prices in America, in Europe, all around the world, and worldwide. Donald Trump knew everything. Donald Trump agreed, and now Donald Trump just wants to be someone who is like far away from all the stuff. No, Donald Trump is the person who started the war in Iran. Israel is just a lie of America. Israel would never act itself. Israel always agrees all plans with Donald Trump or other president of the United States. Do you agree with that? Text me. There is no day without Donald Trump cringe. Donald Trump compares attack on Iran with Japan's Pearl Harbor. I would like to explain even more about this. Political decisions can also influence global stability. In recent meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan, Donald Trump compared attack on Iran to Pearl Harbor. He said, "Who knows better about surprise than Japan?" These references to history show how serious and sensitive current global relations are. When political leaders make strong statements like these, market reacts. Investors become more careful, uncertainty increases, and when uncertainty increases, prices often rise. This is another example of how politics and history can influence your daily expenses even without noticing it. Donald Trump impacts your real life. Donald Trump, with his statements, impacts your own wallet with money. How dare him? Write down your opinion in the comment. Russia damages a large fuel tanker in Europe. Is that okay? No one says anything about it. No one says Russia can't invade European seas and does something they really want. Damaging fuel tanker is something completely impossible for European safety, but it happened. World, are you crazy? Now to the news. A large fuel tanker is currently drifting near Italy and Malta. The ship was damaged by Russia and now is moving without control. It's carrying diesel and liquefied gas, which creates a serious risk for the environment and for energy supply. Authorities are watching the situation closely because if something happens, it could affect shipping routes and fuel availability in the region. This tanker is also believed to be a part of a system used to transport oil despite restrictions. When such systems are disrupted, energy supplies become unstable. And again, these lead to higher prices to fuel and gas. Things that Russia is currently doing is to make life of Europeans impossibly expensive, to make a typical European every day entering the shop, seeing the prices, being pretty crazy and asking the authority, please make a peace with Russia, please stop the war in Ukraine, we want to pay €1 for our bread, love, not like €5. Do something with Russia. This is what Russia is trying to do with Europeans. And Europeans have to protect themselves the way they are able. For example, to send a bit more patriots to help Ukraine. What do you think about these? Write down. Now let's connect all the news we heard all together. We see instability in money, transport, pressure in oil routes, energy prices, political tension between all countries. These are not separate events, they're part of one system. And when the system becomes unstable, it always affects the same things, prices. And when prices grow, your daily life becomes more expensive. Now you understand a bit more than most people, and this knowledge helps you make your better decisions. If you want to stay informed and you want to understand how global events affect your money, subscribe to my channel. I'm Blondie World. Like this video and share it with someone who also wants to understand the world better. See you in my next videos.